Yes, sir. Welcome. Chad, did you start to say something? No? Okay. Welcome, one and all. I heard Jim as soon as I turned the recording on. Welcome, amazing agents from across the country. Today is Thursday, February 8th, 2018, and this is Mastermind call number 163. Tremendous turnout. We had a great role play call yesterday. I wanted to just start today by making a few comments that I think might make this call much better, and just to clarify a few things. Last week the call went, we try to keep these calls at an hour, not because we're anxious to get off the phone, but we respect your guys' time, and we want you to be able to schedule an hour and get on and off quickly. Chad, can you hear me okay now? I'm on our Ring Central phone on the usual setup. Is my voice cracking?
Yeah, it may just be me, but you're kind of pulsating in and out.
I hear him fine, but it sounds pretty good. Sounds pretty good to me.
Okay, that's fine. It must be my connection. You guys can hear me okay?
Yeah,
Yep.
we can hear you fine.
Okay.
All right,
well,
everybody
fine.
else can hear me fine. So, Chad, you need one of those devices for your ears.
Ha ha, funny. Tell the FBI that.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Let's move on.
Next.
All right, guys. I wanted to start the call off by just telling you we want to try to keep these calls at an hour so you can plan on them, get on and off, and get back to work. Our call ran way too long last week, and what's been happening lately, we've had a few cases where people will tell us long stories with an issue, and then we hang up and we call them back and find out that issue has already been addressed and solved days ago by one of our staff people. So I don't ever want to discourage anybody on these calls from saying or contributing or sharing anything. But if it's something that other people can benefit, please share it, ask your question. If it gets to be a long story, we may just respectfully tell you, hey, let's answer that offline. And we're going to really try to keep these calls right at an hour. One other trend, when I see trends, I just like to point them out. One other thing I've noticed lately, we've got incredible staff. We've got a dozen people now with the 2 new ads that we're bringing on, and we want them to focus on best way to help you all. And I've seen some customer support issues lately where someone will say, I got 120 leads and the data on one of them is wrong. Can you have the researcher go back and check this? And it's not usually the case that the data is wrong. It's that a lot of the new subscribers, let me just say this, this data is accumulated by humans. So occasionally you might get 1 or 2 out of hundreds where there is a mistake in the data. And it's either by the researcher, by the person at the courthouse who entered it, or by our researcher who copied it wrong. But I would just ask you to kind of consider if it's really worth your time and effort, or should you just chase after go get the other 127 where the data is good. And I've also seen a lot of issues where people will send us a ticket and say, hey, I called John Smith and he doesn't know anything about this probate. You gave me the wrong number. And I just feel like we should explain again that the phone numbers don't come from the court records. We do an incredible job of searching multiple places to find good phone numbers. And when you have a common name, you are going to have cases where it might be a different John Smith that has nothing to do with this estate. So very often, one of the 4 phone numbers will be the wrong person. You don't need to tell us about that, and it's not a mistake. It's just, it's just part of the price of the inexact science of accumulating phone numbers. So I just thought that might save a lot of questions and issues, so our support people can focus on important things, help you with the things that really make a difference, and I hopefully can keep these calls to an hour and still answer all your questions. Just wanted to start off. Thank you for letting me preach a little bit. Tim, anything you want to share with the group?
Tell it like it is, Jim. Here's the deal. Let me just camp on what Jim said. So we're always going to try and make sure that we're giving you everything you paid for, and we'll do the best job we can. But to expect that we would likely send a researcher back into a county in the middle of the month to get one name corrected, we're not likely to go do that. We might do it the next time they're in there if it's possible to go do that, but like Jim said, this is a numbers game. Now, obviously, if you're in a county where you get a very small number, it's significantly more important. I would even take that more seriously than somebody who's getting 300 or 400 leads and one of them's not correct. We can't guarantee that they're all perfect. We're doing the best job that we can, and as Jim didn't say, we've been doing this now. We're into our sort of fourth year with that. So let's make sure that we're continuing to focus on the fact that it's a numbers game, because that's the critical part of this. Moving fast and getting in touch with as many people as you can, that's fine. Having said that, the other side of this is this. If you consistently see that there are problems or issues with any aspect of what we're doing, we want to know about it. If we've got a researcher that's not doing their job, we definitely want to know, and we'll either replace the researcher or we'll do something to make that 100% correct for you, and we never will allow that to continue. But, just err on the side of moving forward. Do let us know if there's a problem, and if we can easily fix it, that's fine. But in most cases, it's probably not going to get fixed quickly. Okay.
All right.
And that's pretty much all I had. We're going to bend over backwards to make sure they're correct, and we do that already. And 99.9% of the time, everybody's more than satisfied with what we do. As a matter of fact, we get, rave reviews from people about how, great our leads are and how great the contact information is. But Jim said it the best way. And I'm done. Chad?
Perfect. As always.
Yeah, I mean,
Chad?
aren't we? We're talking about like 6 lines of data out of 30 or 40,000 a month.
Yep, pretty much. That's
right.
Pretty much correct.
So
yep.
we're all cursed perfectionists. But from the training wheelhouse, I wanted to invite everybody to listen to the recording of the role play call yesterday if you didn't attend live. As a reminder, the first Wednesday of every month we do a live role play call at 2 p.m. Eastern on this same number. If you missed it, you can find it in the subscriber portal under conference calls, access call archive. And if you're not a subscriber, you can find it on our Facebook group, All the Leads Mastermind. And then also, I sent everybody an email, but if you didn't see it, we captured a really good case study this week from one of our one of our longest term subscribers, Bill Bird, who's been with us, for going on 2 years. And used to be on these calls every Thursday, but he got so busy he never shows up. And I am going to try to do a better job at, getting you guys access to those people that have gotten so busy they never show up for this call. Bill is one of those. So look for that email, or just simply go to alltheleads.com, click on blog, and it will be at the top because it was our latest post. But I think it's a good thing for all of us to watch, no matter, if Bill's done 54 transactions, not including this, secondary transactions from this, just initial transactions. But so as veterans, we can learn from him. As new people, we can be inspired by him. But it's just a simple interview, pretty candid between he and I. So if you haven't seen that, take a few minutes today and listen to hear what he's doing and what his approach is like. That's all I got.
Perfect. Tom, anything you'd like to share with the group?
Just always remind everybody we're here to help, so don't hesitate to reach out to us and send us an email to support@alltheleads.com, or if you're in your account area under support, just contact us. We track everything and get back to you as quickly as possible. That's it.
Excellent. And I hope I didn't do too good of a job of scaring people from asking long questions, because we only got 2 in the queue. We got plenty of room for more, guys. And, in spite of what I said up front, nothing is off limits here. If it, we'll let you know if it's something best answered on the call. And again, if you'd like to participate, just hit *6 and hit 1, and you'll be next up. In the meantime, we have phone number ending in 5859. You're up first.
Hi, this is George from Raleigh. I just got a lead on a house that's in foreclosure, and I mailed out a letter, and it came back and marked deceased. And so I skip traced the son, and he's a single heir that lives in Maryland. I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina. So he doesn't want the house. I just had a single conversation with him this morning, but I'm curious to know what since he's the only heir, and I did ask him the question whether, his dad was married or if there were other heirs, and he said, no, I'm the only one. And I said, okay, so basically I'm going to try to pick up this house subject to, and I'm thinking that, I really don't know what I need from this son in order to have him be able to sign the deed?
Well, let's talk first about equity. So how much is the house worth as is?
It's a good question. I haven't identified that yet.
And what's the payoff?
I don't know that either.
So you don't want to take it sub 2 because you could be buying a mess. You could be just assigning
I wouldn't take it sub 2 unless I had all the I's dotted and T's crossed. And there
here, let me get to my point. This is probably not a good subject to, because it's already past the notice of default and in the foreclosure process. So they're already looking at title with a microscope. So if you take it sub 2, it could trigger a due on sale and they could just foreclose on you. The way to do this is just keep quiet and show up at the steps and buy it with a special warranty deed. And you probably get it at a deeper discount. You're not assuming his debt by sub 2. You'll actually get it at a discount from that debt level.
Well, the only problem with showing up at the courthouse is you got all the competition. And in North Carolina, there's a 10-day upset period. So, you got. Yeah,
but how many people at the auction? How many of the people at the auction bid up to the payoff amount?
It doesn't
like
matter.
You're willing to assume it at the full debt value now, and everybody at the auction is looking to buy at a discount.
It doesn't matter how many people are at the auction because there's a 10-day upset period. There are people after the auction that can come in and bid, and what happens is there's so much competition they get bid way up. So by taking it before the auction, I'm able to eliminate the competition. I've got lots of experience in buying foreclosures. I just don't have
so is your intent you're going to pay off the note before the foreclosure sale?
No, I'm going to pay off the arrears and start making the mortgage payment again.
But what if they don't you're taking it subject to. What if they look at the title and they see that you took it subject to and they trigger the due on sale clause?
The title.
Then you've lost everything.
Well, that's really.
Dude, I'm on your side. I'm just telling you, you're taking unnecessary risk, in my opinion.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. What do I need to do in order to, or what information do I have to get or provide to this seller that allows him to sign the deed as the heir? Does he have to be in probate? Does he have to probate the house?
Yeah, if he hasn't filed probate, that will be necessary for him to transfer title. So he'll have to close the chain of title with the death certificate and all the other probate documents.
Right.
And depending on how long your clock is, are you on a 21-day clock, or where are you at in the process?
Well, I don't know. I haven't gotten all the information from the son. He's supposed to be sending me the foreclosure documents. So I don't even know what the sale date is. My estimate was the end of the month, but that could be off by a month. So basically, let's just say, mid-March is the sale date if nothing else happens.
Yeah. So you would need to make sure he gets down to the county clerk's office, files probate, has the initial hearing, is officially appointed as the administrator, and then you can write your purchase agreement with his name and close the chain of title using all those probate documents.
Okay, good.
That's probably going to use up most of that window, if not, if you can get it, if you can even get it done in that window.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Chad, I had one thing I'll add to that. I had a very similar case about 5 years ago, one of my best flips ever. By the time the probate was filed, they were weeks away from foreclosure. And I did end up buying and flipping that one. I actually, we had an attorney that would just go down to the courthouse and go down and file the paperwork to stop the sale for $300. So I basically just hired my attorney to go down and stop the sale to buy me enough time to, to get in the middle of it and get everything done. I mean, that might be, I don't know if that works that way in North Carolina, but that might be a cheaper alternative for you than, catching up the mortgage payments and pouring a lot of money into it.
Yeah.
And I was going to ask, does the executor or the heir, does the heir have an attorney at this point, or is he self-represented? Do you know whether he's got an attorney on?
I don't know. I've got to ask that question.
And has any action? How long has the property been in foreclosure? Do you know?
Well, the notice of default was filed. Hang on, I don't have that right off the top of my head.
When you talk to him, make sure you get an authorization to release.
Yeah.
And it's good practice to get that notarized. Like if you could do it at a bank or somewhere.
Yeah.
It's not always necessary, but it's good practice. That way you know that you'll be able to talk directly to the lien holder.
Yep.
Because what you're going to need to know is the payoff amount with penalty.
Yep.
And then you got to kind of do your own your own market analysis and figure out if there's enough equity there to even take it sub 2. But even if my caution to you is even if they stop the sale, the one time that sub 2 is dangerous is when we know banks are looking at title. And when a payment is missed, that's when banks look at title. So if they are looking at title prior to a sale and they see a fresh recording, chances are they're going to send you a due on sale clause and ask you to pay the note in full, or they're going to recover the asset from you instead of him.
Yeah.
So you just be real careful in this one. You may be better off just taking your chances at the auction and not taking unnecessary risk.
As in looking at my data, just the estimate, his original loan amount was $107, and it was taken out in 2010. So I'm guessing maybe he might owe $90. That's just an estimate, though. And the market value on the property, the tax value is $155. So that's probably reasonably close to market value. In fact, market value might be even a little bit higher than that. So there might be $50,000 worth of equity in this property.
Yep. Good one too. When you get more details, if you need additional help, just email us and we'll respond.
Okay.
It sounds promising. So, congratulations on taking action, and let us know how it turns out.
Will do. What's the email address to use?
Just send it to Chad. You one of us. I would just send it to support. Support. Yeah, supported all the leads because we all read that and we're more likely to get back to you quicker that way.
Okay, great. Thanks.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate you participating. We have 3 more in the queue. Next up is phone number ending in 0313. You're up next.
Hello there. This is Amy.
Hi, Amy.
Hi. So I had a couple things to bring up. One was on the positive side. One was not so positive. But I thought I'd share it anyway.
Just skip the second one.
Well, only.
I'm just kidding. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Go ahead. Fire away.
Okay. So first of all, the investors will not care at all about the first one, but I spoke to a woman. Her husband had passed away, and those were kind of the ones that were a little weird for me to call. When I saw the same last name, husband, and appeared to be husband-wife living in the same property. So, part of me was like, your mindset says, oh, she's going to want to stay put. Her husband died, But anyway, long story short is that I don't know if she's going to stay or not. I think she'd like to stay. But she was very overwhelmed with the process. And she had an attorney, but she really wanted help as far as a handyman, and she was getting fines from the HOA on some things that needed to be done, and she needed a tax person. So I gave her some really people I really like that I work with, and she was so appreciative. And so if she does ever sell the house, I feel confident she would call me. If she doesn't ever sell it, I'm sure she would give people my name. And if she never even does that, it just felt good to help her because you could tell she was going through a lot with the death of her husband. I was just, super appreciative that I was helping her through the process. So that was kind of cool. Now,
Amy gets a gold star.
The negative one was, this
Good
one
job.
was very strange, and I'm bringing it up not to scare or gross out people or anything, but just because I guess I was a little confused, and so I wanted your feedback. So I called this one, and the woman immediately was pretty hostile. And she said to me, "You obviously have not done your research. The deceased was my 2-year-old son." And I was like, holy crap, I'm so sorry, blah, blah, blah. And then when I got off the phone, of course, I had to Google, and I think it was IKEA furniture or something that was defective fell on the child and killed them. It was all over the Internet. But anyway, long story short, it was a little horrifying, but I just wondered how that came, like, why would a 2-year-old, it was confusing, and I just wanted to know how to deal with that next time or watch out for it, or, why would that have come up, the 2-year-old that died as the deceased
Probably
person?
because he or she had assets in excess of $100,000.
A 2-year-old?
So, well, imagine a scenario where the grandparents pass away and pass on, for a $1 million 401k plan in his name. So it's technically his asset, and if he passes away, in order to get that back to the rest of the heirs, you have to probate the estate. So it probably means that that child was given a bunch of money at some point from somebody, and now the family is going to have to figure out how to move that money, unfortunately, from their child back into the family. So that would be my guess at what the scenario was. Oftentimes, children's estates aren't probated because there aren't any assets. Most states, including yours, have a small state exemption, and basically what that means is if the entire estate is worth less than $100,000, probate is not required. That doesn't seem to be the case here because they filed probate. So I'm guessing here, but it seems to me that that 2-year-old was worth more than $100,000, so they were forced to file probate because he didn't have a trust.
And Amy, I was just going to add, in the 5 years doing this, that came up one time before, maybe 3 years ago. We had someone that called whose 20-year-old son was killed, and the agent was telling us, well, you should screen the data and not give us those. And we said, well, at what age is a death not tragic? I mean, regardless of when they die, it's still tragic, and you can't screen out the ones that you think maybe need help or don't need help. And I would just congratulate you, because your attitude is, it's unfortunate, but it's not going to stop you from helping the people that you can. And, there may be cases where that person could use some help, even though it was a small child. There may be, I can't imagine what it would be, but, how did you end the call with her? Did it end well? Or?
Okay. She was completely irate that I even called. I didn't even hardly say anything. Like, practically nothing came out of my mouth. And she just, freaked out. It was a 2-year-old child and hung up. That was the whole
Yeah.
It didn't stop me from continuing making more calls, but it slowed me down for a few minutes. I was like, whoa,
sure.
Can I be getting children that died? It just, so that's why I'm not to grow out, but just, is this something that I need to be watching for? Or it sounds like it's really unusual that I had a call like that.
Very, very, very unusual. I would guess over the last 5 years we've probably provided millions of leads, and that's the second time it's come up. So unfortunately, it happened to you early, but it's highly unlikely you'll ever come across that again, in my opinion.
That makes
so don't be afraid of it.
Better. Thank you.
It's also possible. You got to think about it this way. So this is a thing to keep in mind. There are two types of folks you're going to get on the other end of this. You're going to get a person who was closely related to the person who passed away, and the death could have been expected, not expected, or whatever. But death is always an emotional experience. So if they have a personal relationship with that person, there's always going to be some small measure, at least, of problem there from an emotional standpoint. The other side of it is sometimes the person who's appointed as the executor is really just not somebody who was closely related to the person. They just happen to be handling it as a personal representative. But if you're, Chad says this over and over, and I'll take it from him, if you're leading with value, you really have nothing to be afraid of. If somebody says, it was my 2-year-old son that died, you didn't do your homework, you can very quickly say, oh, my goodness, I'm so awfully sorry. You know, we do this. We contact all the people that are in probate because we really do offer a great value to people that do that, and I'm not just out here prospecting for business. We've got a team of people that help people who do need our help, and I'm really sorry for your loss, and just hang up and move on. But stay on your value proposition. If you call with the right frame of mind, nobody like that's ever going to bother you. You always know that you're calling for the right reason. You're not just calling to try and, you know, take their money or take anybody's money. You've got a bunch of things you can do that nobody else is going to be able to do for them, and just stay focused on that.
I definitely feel that way, and
good.
And so I don't have a problem saying that. And I said to her, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry," but then she hung up, so there was no ability to have the conversation. And I do feel like we're, you know, if your heart is in the right place, then it's all good. But I guess, you know, what just kind of happened was I was just shocked. I mean, I just didn't expect.
You got it dialed, though. I think you've got this dialed in. Your heart and your head are in the right place, and, you know, it's always easy to say, oh, this is the stuff that went wrong, but there are a lot of people out there that definitely need to hear from you, and it's great to hear that you're able to, you know, continue to move forward from that. That's great. Thank you.
Right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Next up is phone number ending in 3048. You're up next.
All right. This is Christian Nossum over in Seattle.
Yes, sir.
I have 2 quick questions. They're not going to be long stories, so don't worry.
That's okay. That's okay.
Now,
I got everybody afraid
timid,
now.
Jim.
I know, and I didn't mean that. So you talk as long as you want. Go ahead.
First one is, and I was actually just on the phone with Tom right before this call started, and he wasn't quite sure, so he said, ask it on here. So first one is, if we're using the ISA to make our calls, what number shows up on the caller ID, and is there a way to make it look like a local number at all?
Right now it's a New York number. We are testing a system. We have been over the last couple of weeks where we will have your local number.
Cool.
It doesn't seem to make much of a difference, though. Then all the numbers you've heard us talk about, like the 48-to-1 ratio, is happening with a New York phone number.
Got it. Okay. And then if the call's missed and they call back, where does that go to the actual correct ISA, or how's that work?
Yeah. So what we do is we leave the campaign open for 48 hours. So the inbound calls, most of them will happen in 48 hours. So we'll spend up to 2 days calling your list, up to 2 days fielding inbound phone calls, and then close the campaign and send you the report. So we you know, capture those. The inbound calls are always answered.
Okay. And then you had mentioned in Probate Mastery, Chad, that it's probably a good idea to get a Google Voice number in case the leads or whatever you want to call them start calling me directly, so that you can kind of get your mindset right. When using the ISA, is that still recommended or not so much?
It's just personal preference. I did it because, you know, Google Voice would always prompt me when I picked up the phone.
Yeah.
So I always knew, no matter, because I was running more than one business, and, you know, I was a lot of times on a mountaintop somewhere camping or motorcycling. So I wanted to make sure I was in the right state when I took that call. So that's the biggest reason I did it. The other reason is I really like that anytime I miss a call, I immediately get an email, and if they leave a voicemail, I get the recording and a transcription in my inbox. So those are the reasons I did it. You could just drive it straight to your cell phone. You know, if most of your calls are real estate related, and you're always going to answer the phone as, you know, that way.
Yep.
The Probate Plus, like if you decide to, like for example, if you decide to brand as like Seattle Probate Team, then you may want to, you know, definitely have an extra step in there like Google Voice, so you always answer that as Seattle Probate Team, even though you answer your cell phone as, hey, this is Christian.
Yeah, exactly. If I was going to do the Google Voice number, where do I switch that out logistically? on the.
You just go into Google Voice and just sign into your regular using your your Gmail login.
On all the leads on your guys' end of things. Where do I add that number in? Or I guess I would need to add it in somewhere on there, right? Or no?
On your letters, you mean, or on the call with the call center?
Well, so I guess maybe I don't understand. Do the ISAs transfer calls directly to me ever? Or would it only be people?
We're not doing hot transfers right now. That's part of the system that we're testing.
Got it. Okay.
So what we do now is we set the appointment and notify you, and then you make an outbound call to, for that appointment time. What we're testing.
That answers that. Yeah. Perfect.
What's that?
And then the other part of the question was on the call that you had with Bill Bird, which was a great one. He mentioned that he's in San Francisco or in the San Francisco area, and he had 3 different letter campaign types because his county's so large. Seattle's very similar. King County's massive. I mean, you go an hour and a half away and you're in the mountains, and it's a totally different mindset and different person that it is in downtown Seattle. So do you have any clue or any way for me to understand kind of how he's doing that, or if other people are doing that? Are there any samples of how that's being done or anything like that?
Honestly, Bill and I kind of co-wrote and worked on his letters, but that was 2 years ago. I don't even remember. I've helped so many people since. I don't remember exactly what we did.
What the difference was, yeah.
What I do know, though, Bill is an extremely helpful person and an ambassador for us. He's talked to a lot of our folks. So if you reach out to him, I'm sure you can find his LinkedIn or Zillow profile and find his email address. If you reach out to him and say, hey, you got 5 minutes to talk mail, he would be willing to do that with you, I'm sure.
Cool. Yeah, he seemed like a nice guy, willing to share stuff, so that's good.
Yeah, the big reason we had to change his letters is, I get there's a pretty big cultural difference from one side of the lake to the other, and especially from Microsoft out to Salton and Gold Bar. I get that.
Exactly.
Don't feel like most of the letters won't work. I would say anything will work out in Salton and Gold Bar, like out there. If you get into the heart of the city where all the software money is, they're probably not going through probate anyways. Those are the people with trusts and estate plans. So don't feel like you have to drastically change letters. We definitely encourage everybody to get your own personality and business culture into the first paragraph and kind of the PS line. But what the letters we provide, we've had people in Manhattan, Atlanta, big cities with high income levels. Those letters have worked in almost every major city in the United States. So.
Okay.
All right. Anything else, sir?
That's it. That's all I got. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you so much for participating. We have 2 people in the queue. We do have room for more, guys. We're going to go from 2.5 hours to cutting the call short if we don't get a couple more people. So hit *6 and hit 1, and you'll be up next. In the meantime, phone number ending in 3377, you're up next.
Hi, my name is Mansoor. I'm newly signed up, and I just requested the first mail out to go out.
Yes, sir.
My question is, how can I role play with the other agents especially in the area? That way would help me out to familiarize myself to the local issues.
Well, there was actually a group this week. We constantly have small role play groups forming in our Facebook group, and I think it might have been Caroline that started that thread, but probably a half a dozen people started a thread this week, so it should be near the top of the discussion board on All the Leads Mastermind Facebook group. And I don't remember what time they settled in on, but they picked a time where the group will get together and role play with each other, in addition to obviously the role play that we do with you guys. So that's the best way. If you want to jump in that group, or if you want to put a post on our Facebook group and start your own, what's really cool about that group is within minutes of that initial post, 3 or 4 people had jumped in and said, "I'll do it. Here's the time and here's my phone number." So if that group's full, or if you are on a different time zone, just start your own.
The other thing that might suggest also for him is to go back and listen to the last 2 or 3 months worth of role play calls, because sometimes the same questions come up over and over, but over the time that we've been doing them, and we've got, 30-something of them now at this point, Chad? How many role play calls do we have at this point?
27, I think, right?
Yeah, I figure we're getting close to 30. I mean, that's 27 hours worth of back and forth on these role play calls, and he ought to go listen to those as well, because that too will help him understand a lot of the Q&A. So I think that would be awesome.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I agree.
All right, you're very welcome, sir. Thank you. We have 3 more people in the queue. Good job, guys. Next up, never heard of this guy, Rodger Lacey. You're up next.
Hello.
Hey, Rodger. Welcome.
Oh, thank you. Let me pull over here real quick so I can. I'm in between things, and let me just pull over to a stop so I can focus on something.
Sure.
I have made calls and found that children have died in the university town that I'm in, and one of the ways that I have found to help me prepare for that call is I have an assistant who does a couple of things for me, but one of the things that she does for me is take the decedent's name and do a local search for obituaries and put the link on so that I can go look at it right before I make the phone call. That way I know a little bit about who the siblings are, if they're in there, and there may not be an obituary. But I find that. The next thing on that, in that kind of situation, is I turn the conversation into a trust call. And how is the family handling that? It must have been something like an insurance policy or the personal possessions or something that caused it to go into probate, and start talking about making moving toward a referral to an attorney or a trust officer or a financial planner to do that. Builds a little bit of value in a situation in which they become very defensive and offensive at calling about my child's death. That would be that. The second comment that I've heard on some of the calls is something going on in foreclosure and probate. I've had some of those things happen in mine, and in my calls, probably 2 years, I've had maybe 3 instances of something similar to that. It's almost finding something else to talk about, because once the banks start their foreclosure process, it's almost impossible to pull them off of it, especially after they've got a court date, at least in the state of Arkansas. Once that court date is set, it's just terrible to try to unhook it. And if it's investors, you probably can't even buy the mortgage from the bank at that point. So there's it's one of those things that if there's a short sale or a lack or a big debt included with the house that you're not going to be able to do it. A short sale may not be an opportunity for the personal representative in a non-estate thing. In a trust or in a trust situation, it may be a little bit differently, but it's really a lot more steps to do that. And I found that there's probably better apples on trees than try to go down that road. And I've done that a couple of times, and it just becomes a tar baby. And a lot of time spent on those. The last thing I've got, and I'm trying to keep my comment short, is a new value point that I think that we bring to the table that has a different paradigm in presentation. to both attorneys and personal representatives, I think one of the things that I have discovered recently that is a very strong sales point and a strong value point to them is that we can help you from making a mistake by not selling the property to someone who is not going to give you the value. And that is where I come in by helping you understand the value on an as-is, what an estimate cost of repairs would be, and what the value of the house would be with the repairs. And from that standpoint, I help you as the personal representative, or if I'm talking to an attorney, I can tell an attorney I can help protect your clients from making a mistake and helping you become a much higher sought attorney by them for recommending future clients to me. So the point of the value statement is keeping them from making a mistake, creating fear, and creating a reward for using me, which is I can help you sell this property at a higher value, and you will have a more informed position to make a decision whether you want to just get rid of it or if you want to fix it. I'm done. Any questions?
Great job. Chad, any comments?
No, all good points. I will say one thing, Rodger, and I think it probably applies in your state. Jim mentioned this on the first, when we were talking to the first caller. You can file an injunction to at least slow down, or maybe not stop, but if you do file an injunction after probate's been filed, that scenario was a little bit different. But after the probate has been filed, you can actually have an attorney kind of throw a wrench into that foreclosure by filing an injunction, and they may have to restart the foreclosure process. So I know you've got a lot of good relationships with real estate and probate attorneys. I would encourage you to have that conversation so you're ready next time. But great points. I mean, everything you said is very valuable, and thanks for sharing as always.
Thank you for your time.
All right, pull back on the road. Watch for oncoming traffic. Thank you so much for participating. We appreciate you. We have two more people in the queue. Phone number ending in 7522. You're up next.
Hi there. My name is Cindy, and my husband, Ron, is here with me today. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you great. Welcome.
Okay, thanks.
You guys have been with the program for 3 days now, so how many listings have you taken?
Pretty much 3 days.
You know too much about this already.
Welcome, guys. Thanks for participating.
Thank you.
Sure. So as a new person, for the people that listen in the future or maybe are new, I got a couple of things I want to ask. Someone talked about the return address having the probate number on the outside of the envelope, and I don't know if it was a recent call or a recorded call. And do you know, were they saying instead of a return address to put the probate number on there?
So are you talking about putting it in the return area?
Yes, on the return address when you mail out your lead letters.
Yeah, sometimes we do it on the bottom of the outside envelope. We have people that do it if they're doing it in a number 10 envelope as opposed to the 6x9 envelope. If they're trying to use it as a business communication, they'll put the regarding docket number on the bottom left-hand side, giving it a bit more of an official look, but not in place of the return address. And in fact, in most cases, we generally encourage you not to use a return address on it, primarily because if you're using the greeting card, it looks like a normal greeting card and doesn't identify it as an advertising card. So most people don't use a return address either. We'll do whatever you want, but generally we just say put the address on there. We do it in a font that appears handwritten and looks great, and you'll get a copy of it, obviously, so you'll see what we're talking about, but it's generally better to not do that.
And I think what you may have seen were some agents that were mailing to attorneys in a business-looking correspondence, and they referenced the probate case number, because it would look more like an official document that was more likely to be actually opened and read by the attorney versus, somebody in their mailroom or an assistant.
Okay. So for me, I think it's real important that I know that the mail got there. So if there is no return address, that's just a mailing that will go to waste the next 2 or 3 or 4 times I touch them. So I want my return mail for sure, because I'm going to start digging deeper and finding those people.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, that's fine.
Now I understand, and I do like this down at the bottom left probate case number. I like that idea.
Yeah, one of the reasons, and Tim is our runs our mailing department among many other things, but we had just so very, very, very few of them come back because we were taking the information comes right from the court records, and the address is almost always accurate and correct. I think that's one of the reasons we stopped putting it on there, and we also felt like you probably don't want to put that it's from a realtor, especially if you're doing a greeting card style envelope. So just put, if you are going to use a return address, just use an address, but don't put a name or who it's from. You want to motivate them to open the envelope. That's the main thing.
I totally agree. If you have a real stamp on there, you're allowed to not put a name. If you're using bulk mail, you have to put a name. So I understand that. So thank you for that. Okay. The other one is we are investors. We are not agents. And I like the whole Certified Probate Expert designation. So if I were to go into your Mastery group, is that a designation that is for anyone? Is this a Mastery group training? You said it's maybe 6 hours. Is that going to help me, even though I'm not a realtor? I used to be a realtor, but I let that go years ago, and I'm just an investor.
Yeah, it's kind of cross-training content. So day one is really learning about the probate process and the statistics driving this and why it's such a big opportunity. Day two is really about a business strategy. That's where we get into most of the investor content. So I show you everything you can do literally regardless of equity level. I'll show you how to help people first and make money second. And we include wholesale, short sales, creative financing, conventional sale, cash sale. I kind of, show you everything that I've done and how to do that. Even touching on, and if you want to go deeper, actually partnering with the estate and flipping. They bring the house, you bring the capital and the construction crews, and you can partner with them and throw it in the land trust and flip the house for the estate. So we cover a lot of we cover a lot of that stuff in session 2, and then session 3 is mainly it's really focused on the initial conversation, and that's important. It's really no different for investors than it is from depending on what your end game is as an investor. For me, the conversations were always the same. Because I could do a wholesale, a short sale, I could do creative financing, lease options. So almost regardless of what their situation was, I could still offer them something as an investor. So I still needed enough information to know what options I was going to offer. So we cover that, and then we go through my listing appointment, which again, you're probably it's going to be valuable to an investor because a lot of it is not about, an iPad listing presentation. A lot of it's kind of about body language and tricks and things that I do leading up to the pricing conversation and ultimately getting them to choose the best option, to make a choice versus saying, okay, well, that's great. You can call us back in a couple of days. So it's about helping them get to a target date and a strategy in the appointment and getting the paperwork signed that day without asking.
Great.
So anyways, I think you'll get a lot of value from it. And what I tell most of my investors, if you feel like it was too much realtor content and you didn't learn something you wanted, just pick up the phone and call the training line and we'll work together one-on-one.
Okay. And what about this Certified Probate Expert designation? Is that something I could lawfully put on a business card?
Sure. Yep, and we'll send you a certificate that a lot of people hang them in their office. So you have a good high quality certificate that you can frame and you can use a CPE with your name and any marketing that you do.
Okay. Okay, great. And that leads me into, if you're the ISA and you're calling on my behalf, how does it sound different to try to get a listing appointment versus working for an investor?
Well, what we're trying to figure out is there a strong motivation to sell, and if yes, can we get an appointment? And it's your job to pick it up from there. So what we learned with ISA is the deeper you try to go, the more you fall on your face. So no ISA is ever going to operate at a level. Well, I'll back up. Sam Bingham, if you're on the call, I'm sorry for saying that. Very few ISAs are going to have the skill set to go as deep as you are as the professional. If they did, they wouldn't be an ISA, right?
Right.
So we've learned you go deep enough to gauge interest and motivation, set the appointment, and then let you do what you're good at. So, and we do make calls for investors as well as realtors.
Okay. All right. Very good. Let's see. Oh, your CRM. You say that you have kind of a one-stop shop here, which is intriguing to us. How many people, if I have people helping me in my business, like different assistants, how many people would be able to have access to the CRM?
If you share your password, as many as your whole team can.
Okay, so it's just a matter of logging in with our password. Okay. I think that's, let's see. Oh, okay. And then who can help us with our USP?
I can, or Probate Mastery can. Like if you do, we spend a fair amount of time on that in session 2 in Mastery, kind of, why that's important and how to structure it.
Okay.
Where's it at? Where do you go?
No, it would be the second day of the Mastery. Okay.
Oh.
Okay, good. All right, that's helpful. All right, so
and if you guys, I don't have the February date scheduled right now because I have some travel dates in the air. But if you guys want to sign up for Mastery, what I'll do, I'll send you the January recordings from week before last, and then I'll register you for I'll also register you for the live sessions whenever we get that scheduled.
Okay, I thought I saw where it said February 15th. No.
No, I haven't said it yet.
Oh, okay. All right, that'd be great. I really would appreciate that because we wanna try to. We've got a mailing out right now, and then you guys are going to send us some leads on your end, and we're going to get another mailing out. So in the next 10 days, it's critical that I learn as much as I can. And I like this whole USP idea, how we can structure, the value we bring to these people.
Yep. Well, if you go to if you go to the education and training page, you can sign up there, and I'll send you the recordings today.
Okay, very good.
Thank you, guys. Right. We have 6 minutes. We don't have a hard cutoff at 2, but we thank you so much for participating, guys. Welcome. We have 2 more in the queue, and we got 6 minutes left. I'm feeling optimistic. We'll get done. Next up is phone number ending in 6097. You're up next.
Hi, this is Caroline Allison from Houston, Texas. And
hello there.
Hi, how are you, Tim and Chad?
Wonderful.
Good. Yeah. So, by the way, the lady that just spoke a second ago, I used to purely be an investor, and I decided to become a broker so that I have additional streams of income. And so I'm now a broker first, investor second, and when I do find a deal that's a choice deal, then I buy it, but the leftovers my investors get.
Okay, so, great.
Just something to think about. But had a conversation earlier this week with Chad about YouTube for marketing, and I have noticed that a lot of attorneys I'm talking to, I ask them where they get their leads from, and there's quite a few directories and online tools that they use for people to find them. And my question is what would you guys suggest as far as building a better internet presence? And could we do some kind of workshop or something along the lines of setting up like a YouTube channel, Chad, like you suggested, and what would that content look like, you know, as far as, like you mentioned, interviews of stuff going on around town and that sort of thing?
So go ahead,
my
Chad.
closest,
I got a comment as well.
The closest experience I have to this is what I'd mentioned to you, Caroline. So when I was doing short sales, I learned real quick where the redundancies were in my system. So I actually made a short sale playlist, and it was before I knew better. I set up a professional studio and cameras and lights and made it as good as I could. But I built out like a library of 19 videos, and it was just the questions that almost every homeowner would ask me when they were faced with a short sale or when they had missed a payment. And I built it to leverage my time, so I could send one URL in an email, and they could get access to 19 videos with one click. So for attorneys, you could sit down and make an attorney prospecting playlist. You know, why work with a certified probate expert? The difference in working with our team versus every other realtor in town. Like, just make videos that, you know, that get like what you would say to them if you had a 3-hour dinner, and put that content in the video and fire off a link to every one of them. Go into the findlaw.com directory, click contact us, and send them the link. And you never know who's going to watch that video and go, holy crap, I just spent 2 hours on your YouTube channel. This is incredible. Come meet me. So I would focus on that. The same thing with the personal representative. So think about a playlist as kind of a knowledge library. So what do you hear? What is every homeowner's concern? So what are the biggest misconceptions? One of our newer subscribers and I last night spent some time on a letter that he's working on, and he focused on the 3 biggest misconceptions that most sellers he's spoken to had. That you know, they think that working with a realtor is going to take too long, so they give up equity to investors. They think that they can't do anything until the attorney tells them to, and the probate is pretty much almost finished. I don't remember what the third one was, but kind of think about things like that, like the 3 biggest mistakes most probate administrators make, or the 3 things that I know that none of my clients have until they met me. Things like that it's valuable knowledge to them. But it also allows you, because it's a playlist, you can send them one link or put one link in the PS line of your letter, and when they click it, it's going to autoplay every video through until the whole playlist exhausts. So
changing your insurance would be a good one, Chad. Changing your insurance would be another one. Yeah, we always talk about that. Yeah.
And then the interview thing, like, what I suggested for you as more of a broad marketing is anytime something happens in your town, like, for example, here in Roanoke, we've got a couple of new breweries coming from the West Coast. So Deschutes is building a big brewery, and Ballast Point just opened one. And everybody wants to know about that because it's bringing jobs, it's bringing revenue, and it's bringing beer, right? So go by and meet the manager of the new brewery restaurant and talk to him about what it means, what's happening in the community, what stage of construction they're in, whatever it is. Just anything that's relevant. New hospitals that are going up. Talk to nursing homes. Like a nursing home, the director of marketing in a nursing home should bow down at your feet if you show up and say, hey, you want to do an interview so I can add it to my YouTube channel so you get some free exposure to your perfect demographic? We work with a lot of families that are, in the end of life phase. And imagine if you had a library of the conversations with the director of marketing from every nursing home in town, and you could say, oh, listen, you know what? I understand your spouse passed away, and in case your situation changes, rather than you having to go all over town, I've actually done that for you. Let me send you a link to a library of conversations I've had with every nursing home in the entire Sugar Land area. Would that be okay? Like, that's value at its best. And I guarantee no one else is doing it. And you never know who might stumble over those videos, but you can use them in a very direct way as well.
Oh, right. Okay. Okay, yeah, those are good suggestions.
All right, excellent. Thank you as always for participating. We have one more person in the queue, and we have 1 minute left. We won't hold you. We won't hold you to a minute. But thank you so much for participating. Our last up this week is phone number ending in 3908. You're the last up.
Hey guys, it's Sam.
Hey, Sam.
She is on.
The best.
I'm sorry, Sam.
The best ISA in the universe. So, and we want to qualify that, Sam. You're not one of our ISAs.
No,
we
I'm
met
not.
We met you doing this. Yeah, we'll hire you away. No, we wouldn't do that. You're working for another, and you have been for a long time for one of our subscribers. So. Yeah, thank you for participating. Go ahead, Sam.
Of course. I really just wanted to give Chad a hard time because he always, he always rags
covered
on
my
ISAs.
tracks.
You did. You did. And then I just wanted to make a comment about the first caller that had the 2-year-old probate, or the probate for the 2-year-old. I don't know how it works in the state that she's in, but I know Chad and I have talked about this before. In Virginia, everybody has to file probate. So whether, pretty much whether they had assets or not, or whether they're, no matter the age, they have to file probate. So I actually have started, I don't scrub my list, I still mail to everybody, but before I call, I make sure to read obituaries. It's just a habit I've gotten into because I want to know who I'm talking to, and I want to know what I'm talking about, and I want to make sure I'm not being insensitive. A lot of times obituaries or even Googling a name will get you a lot. News reports about accidents or whatever. So I'll still make the phone call, but it's just I'm coming from a place of empathy, not, hey, I Googled and I know what's going on, but I understand your situation and this can be pretty awful. Here's how I can help you no matter what. So it's just a habit I've gotten into. And I don't know, I'm getting probably 200 leads a month. So it's still worth it for me before I make phone calls to know what I'm calling about. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
All right. Great close to the call. Thank you so much. We should have you come back on one of our Ask an Expert calls the first of the month, and I think you'd be a tremendous asset if you don't mind, because you do this as well. No, you do this as well, and you get as good a results as anybody who's ever been with us, Sam. So we really appreciate it. Thanks for the input.
Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
Yes, ma'am. And guys, we are done. We made it in 1 hour and 2 minutes, so good job. I don't ever want you to feel like we're rushing through, but I think we got a lot of people in today. We had a lot of great comments, some real inspiration as far as things that are working for people. So as you all know, I end these calls the same way. I want to thank everybody for taking an hour out of your day to be here. I want to challenge all of you to take one idea, one thing, one story that inspired you on today's call, go out and put it into practice and come back and report to the group next Thursday. Thank you so much, guys. Make it a great week. We'll talk to you soon.